So I welcome you back to this lecture on Pot of Gold, which was originally called Aulularia, and this is a text written by Plotus. It's a very crucial day for people around the world because America is still in search for its future president. We don't exactly know who the president will be. It happens as if by tomorrow we will come to know about who the next American president is. So, on this very crucial day, we will be starting Pot of Gold written by Plotus. Today, we will be dealing with the prologue. As I told you, that Pot of Gold begins with a prologue, and that particular prologue is kind of spoken by the household god of Euclio. যেটা আমি তোমাদেরকে আগের দিন বলেছিলাম that the major protagonist of Pot of Gold is Euclio. ইউক্লিওর একটা হাউস হোল্ড গড আছে, মানে প্রত্যেকটা পরিবারের যেমন একটা গড হয়, দেবতা হয়, हर परिवार का जैसे एक हाउस होल्ड भगवान होता है, वैसे ही यूक्लियो के घर में भी एक हाउस होल्ड भगवान है जिसका नाम है लार familiaris. I suppose this name was told you in our previous class. Okay, so the name of the household god was Lar familiaris, and he will be providing us with the prologue. And who is Lar familiaris? To make it clear once again, Lar familiaris is the household god of our major character called Euclio. Now we begin our slide presentation for today to make the things more clear. Before we enter into the text, the characters need to be clear to you. So the characters that we will be meeting in Pot of Gold, the first character is Euclio. Now he is the central character of this particular story, and he is the father of Phaedra. Okay, he is the father of Phaedra. Now Phaedra is an unmarried girl who is pregnant. She has been raped by a boy called Lyconidas. Okay, so Phaedra is the daughter of Euclio. The second character that we find in Pot of Gold is Lar familiaris. Who is Lar familiaris? Lar familiaris is the guardian spirit of Euclio's house. As I told you, he is the household god of Euclio. The third character that we will be encountering is Stifler. Stifler is Euclio's housekeeper. It would be appropriate to say that she is the slave that Euclio possesses. Now you need to remember that Euclio is a poor man. Euclio comes from a poor family. Even though he comes from a poor family, he has a slave that goes by the name of Stifler. Okay. The next character that we have is Megadorus. Who is Megadorus? As I told you last day, that Megadorus is the neighbor of Euclio, and he is a rich man but a old man. And Megadorus hasn't yet married. Megadorus अभी तक उसने शादी नहीं की है, তার যথেষ্ট বয়স হয়েছে কিন্তু বিয়ে করেনি। But as the play opens, we find that Megadorus has ultimately decided to marry. And whom does he want to marry? He wants to marry Phaedra. Now who is Phaedra? As I told you, Phaedra is the daughter of Euclio. Megadorus does not know that Phaedra is pregnant. Megadorus thinks that Phaedra is a virgin. Similarly, Euclio, the father of Phaedra, is also not aware of the fact that Phaedra, his daughter, is pregnant. माने एक ही घर में रहते हैं, लेकिन बाप को ये नहीं पता है कि उसकी बेटी जो है वो प्रेग्नेंट है. So who is Megadorus? Megadorus is the rich neighbor of Euclio. He is the brother of Eunomia and the maternal uncle of Lyconidas. I think this is the point that we discussed last week, that Lyconidas का मामा है Megadorus और Lyconidas এর মায়ের নাম হচ্ছে Eunomia. Okay, that is our next character. Eunomia is the sister of Megadorus, as I told you, and she is the mother of Lyconidas. Now Lyconidas is that particular boy who has raped or molested Phaedra. Phaedra is impregnated by Lyconidas. Phaedra is bearing the child of Lyconidas. Okay. The other minor characters are the two cooks, जिनके नाम हैं Anthrax and Congrio, और आरेक character which is Strobylus. Now Strobylus is a steward of Megadorus, steward, a servant of Megadorus. Okay, so these are the minor characters actually. Anthrax, Congrio, Strobylus, these are minor characters of Pot of Gold. So I suppose the characterization in Pot of Gold is a bit clear to you. We have Euclio, we have Euclio's daughter Phaedra, we have Lar Familiaris, who is the household god of Euclio. We have Stifla, who is the slave of Euclio. We have Megadorus, who is the rich neighbor of Euclio and who has decided to marry a virgin girl. We have Eunomia, who is the sister of Megadorus and the mother of Lyconidas. And who is Lyconidas? As I told you, Lyconidas is the same boy who has raped Phaedra and impregnated her. And the other characters are Anthrax and Congrio, the two cooks, and we have Strobylus, the steward of Megadorus. Okay. Now we will begin our class with the definition of prologue, with what prologue actually means. Okay. Now we need to remember that the word prologue actually comes from the Greek word prologos. The word prologue comes from the Greek word pro, logos, Logos. Okay, so the word prologue comes from the Greek word prologos. What is the meaning of prologue? The word prologue means before word. Before, B-E-F-O-R-E, before word, W-O-R-D, before word. Where do we usually find a prologue? Prologue कहाँ मिलता है हमें? Usually देखबे গল্প শুরু হওয়ার আগে যখন একটা ক্যারেক্টার স্টেজের উপরে এসে অডিয়েন্সের সাথে ইন্টারঅ্যাক্ট করে বা গল্পের প্লটের ব্যাপারে কিছু আমাদেরকে জানায় বা গল্পের बैकग्राउंड स्टोरी আমাদেরকে যখন नैरेट करे, जब कोई कैरेक्टर कहानी शुरू होने से पहले स्टेज पे आता है और वो ऑडियंस को कहानी के प्लॉट के बारे में बताता है, कहानी के बैकग्राउंड के बारे में बताता है, तो that is actually the prologue. So as I told you, the word prologue has come from the Greek word prologos and it means before word, W-O-R-D. Okay, so it is actually an opening of a story. You can say it this way. It is an opening of a story that establishes the setting and gives some background details. Okay, so it is an opening of the story that establishes the setting and gives a background detail. And we need to understand that prologue, the invention of prologue is attributed to Euripides, and we know who Euripides is. Euripides was one of the famous tragedians of ancient Greece. So this prologue, the invention of prologue, is attributed to Euripides. Okay, when prologue is used by a Roman dramatist like Plautus, because Pot of Gold is written by Plautus and he is a Roman dramatist, when Plautus uses prologue, we find that Plautian prologues are usually performed by characters that did not make an appearance in the play. Because when we go through a Pot of Gold, we will find that the prologue is spoken by the household god Lar Familiaris. Lar Familiaris is the household god who speaks the prologue. And when the play begins, we find that Lar Familiaris does not enter the stage. He is nowhere to be found. Okay, so when Plautus uses prologue, we find that Plautian, from Plautus comes Plautian prologues were usually performed by characters that did not make an appearance in the play. That means Lar Familiaris does not enter the stage after the prologue. So it is only in the prologue that we find Lar Familiaris. Okay, this is a Plotian way of using a prologue or using a character who does not appear elsewhere in the story. Okay, so this is what a prologue is. It comes from the word prologus, which means before word, and as I told you that the opposite of prologue is epilogue. Prologue comes at the beginning of the play. Epilogue comes at the end of the play. After the play has ended comes epilogue. And prologue is before the play begins, is what a prologue is, before word. Okay. So now we move into the prologue. We find that the play Pot of Gold begins with the speech by Lar Familiaris, or the household god. He presents himself in terms of his functioning as the guardian spirit of the house. Now, who is Lar Familiaris? He is the household god of Euclio. He is also the guardian spirit of the house. From the very phrase guardian spirit of the house, we come to know that he protects the household of Euclio. Now, Lar Familiaris comes on the stage and he gives us an outline of the events that are to take place. माने लार फेमिलियरिस स्टेज के ऊपर आता है और ऑडियंस को बता रहा है कि आप लोग क्या देखने वाले हैं, কি হবে গল্পের মধ্যে কি হতে চলেছে, বা হু ইজ ইউক্লিও, মানে ইউক্লিওর ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড স্টোরিটাও কিন্তু আমাদের সামনে তুলে ধরা হবে। यूक्लियो का बैकग्राउंड क्या है, ये जो पॉट ऑफ गोल्ड है, ये पॉट ऑफ गोल्ड कहाँ से आया है, इसके बारे में कौन बताएगा हम लोगों को, हु विल टेल अस अबाउट द बैकग्राउंड स्टोरी, हु विल टेल अस व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हैपन। इट इज लार फेमिलियरिस हु विल नॉट ओनली एस्टैब्लिश द बैकग्राउंड ऑफ यूक्लियो but will also tell us what is going to happen in the near future, in the near future. Okay, so Lar Familiaris gives us an outline of the events that are to take place. In a sense, the plot is presented to the audience even before the play has started. So मतलब कहानी नाटक शुरू होने से पहले ही Lar Familiaris ऑडियंस को पूरा प्लॉट बता रहा है। ठीक है। नाउ द मोस्ट इंटरेस्टिंग पार्ट ऑफ दिस इज कि अगर आपको प्लॉट पहले से ही पता चल जाए तो इसका मतलब ये है कि सस्पेंस विच इज़ वन ऑफ द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक फीचर्स ऑफ अ प्ले, वो सस्पेंस खत्म हो जाता है। क्योंकि अगर if we are watching a thriller or a detective story and someone kind of spoils the whole fun by revealing the name of the murderer, तो उस कहानी में तो सस्पेंस खत्म हो जाता है। तो सिमिलरली प्रोलॉग में जब लार फेमिलियरिस पूरा प्लॉट हमारे सामने बोल रहे हैं तो वी नो कि व्हाट इज दिस प्ले अबाउट, माने व्हाट इज द कन्फ्लिक्ट इन द प्ले, प्रॉब्लम क्या है इस प्ले में और उस प्रॉब्लम का रेजोल्यूशन क्या निकलेगा। तो ईच एंड एवरीथिंग इज प्रोवाइडेड इन द प्रोलॉग इटसेल्फ। माने একটা গল্পের মধ্যে কনफ्लिक्ट থাকে, कन्फ्लिक्ट मीन्स अ काइंड ऑफ अ टेंशन, समथिंग हैज गॉन रॉन्ग, और फिर अल्टीमेटली उसका क्या होता है, व्हाट इज द रेजोल्यूशन टू दैट पर्टिकुलर कन्फ्लिक्ट। तो Lar Familiaris comes on the stage, he not only reveals the background of Euclio, he also reveals the conflict in the story, and he also tells us what is going to happen at the very end. ठीक है, he not only reveals the conflict but also reveals the resolution, মানে লাস্টে কি হবে, হ্যাপি এন্ডিং হবে না স্যাড এন্ডিং হবে, each and everything is revealed by Lar Familiaris. So there is no suspense regarding the play, and this is the point that I have mentioned. The prologue determines the course of events and dispels any suspense regarding the play. Okay, the audience is kept informed about what will follow. We suppose if we are sitting at the theater and if Lar Familiaris comes on the stage and reveals each and everything, that means first of all there is no suspense, and we know beforehand, even before the play has actually started, we know the whole story. And who is Lar Familiaris? This point is repeated again. He is the patron god of the family, of Euclio's family, and has been protecting the pot of gold for years. As I told you the story last week in fact in our previous class, that Euclio's grandfather was a miser. ठीक है, वो बहुत कंजूस थे उसके ग्रैंडफादर, और उनके पास एक पॉट ऑफ गोल्ड था। ইউক্লিওর দাদুর কাছে একটা পট অফ গোল্ড ছিল। সো বিফোর ডাইং দ্য ওল্ড ম্যান এন্ট্রাস্টেড দ্য পট অফ গোল্ড টু দ্য হাউস হোল্ড গড টু লার ফ্যামিলিয়ারিস। আর ওই বয়স্ক লোক মানে গ্র্যান্ডফাদার মরার আগে लार फैमिलियरिस के बोलेছিল যে पॉट ऑफ गोल्डের रक्षा करते। पॉट ऑफ गोल्ड की देखभाल करने के लिए किसको कहा गया था? उस ग्रैंड डैड ने लार फैमिलियरिस से कहा था। দ্যাট মিনস পট অফ গোল্ডটা বাড়িতে কোথায় আছে তার সন্ধানটা একমাত্র লার ফ্যামিলিয়ারিস জানে, বিকজ দাদু তো মারা গেছে। আর দাদুর ছেলে মানে ইউক্লিও के जो पिताजी थे, he never worshipped lar familiaris. Lar familiaris was a god. But Eucleo's father was a miser and did not worship lar familiaris. माने this is a family of misers. ये कंजूसों की फैमिली है। दादा अच्छा जो ग्रैंडफादर थे, पॉट ऑफ गोल्ड अपने बेटे को ना देके ही इज इंटरेस्टिंग द पॉट ऑफ गोल्ड टू लार फैमिलियारिस। আর তার নিজের ছেলেকে পিস অফ ল্যান্ড দিয়েছেন যার উপরে বেচারা সারা জীবন খেটে दारिद्रताएं तार जीवन केटे, गरीबी में उसका जीवन बीता, लेकिन बाप ने मरने से पहले अपने बेटे को पॉट ऑफ गोल्ड के बारे में कुछ कहा ही नहीं। सच अ माइजर ही वॉज। अच्छा खुद तो मर गया ग्रैंड डैड, उसका जो बेटा था वो भी गरीबी में मर गया। वो लार फैमिलियरिस की पूजा नहीं करता था, इसीलिए लार फैमिलियरिस ने भी उसको नहीं बताया कि पॉट ऑफ गोल्ड कहाँ है, बिकॉज लार फैमिलियरिस विल ओनली रिवील about the whereabouts of this pot of gold to that particular person who worships lar familiaris. Otherwise the god will not reveal the whereabout of this particular pot of gold. Euclio, the third generation of this particular family, is a greater miser than his father and grandfather. He never worships lar familiaris. लेकिन यूक्लियो की जो बेटी है, यूक्लियोर मेन नाम होचे फेइद्रा, as we had discussed earlier कि यूक्लियो की बेटी का नाम था फेइद्रा, एंड फेइद्रा वर्शिप्स लार फैमिलियरिस। शी ब्रिंग्स गार्लैंड्स, माला लेके आती है फूल की, धूपकाठी लेके आती है जिसको हम लोग इंग्लिश में इंसेंस कहते हैं। तो लार फैमिलियरिस इज वेरी इम्प्रेस्ड बाय फेइद्रा, एंड दैट इज द रीजन व्हाई लार फैमिलियरिस रिवील्ड to Euclio the whereabouts of this pot of gold. কেন? because in that particular society যদি মেয়ের বিয়ে দিতে হয় তাহলে বাবাকে ডাউরি দিতে হবে। उस समाज में लड़की की अगर शादी देनी है तो उसके साथ डाउरी भी, दहेज भी देना पड़ेगा। ठीक है, तो दहेज कहाँ से आएगा? बिकॉज यूक्लियो इज अ पुअर मैन, and this is the reason why lar familiaris revealed to Euclio the whereabouts of the pot of gold. কেন? যাতে এই pot of gold can act as a kind of a dowry in marriage in the marriage of Phaedra. Okay, okay. So he shares, mane lar familiaris shares this information with the audience. Okay, so he is revealing the background story of Euclio to the audience. The granddad, and this is the story in brief actually, I had given certain points from the story here. The granddad had given lar familiaris a pot of gold which granddad buried in the hearth. ठीक है, granddad ने लार को बताया था कि pot of gold कहाँ पर है। As the household god, he is asked to protect the gold. The old man, माने the granddad, is a miser, कंजूस है, and refuses to part with this information. Such a kind of miser he is कि নিজের ছেলেকেও বলছে না যে pot of gold আছে। As a result, the son remains ignorant of this wealth, माने ছেলে জানেই না যে বাবা pot of gold রেখে গেছে, and continues to live a life of penury. Now, the word penury means the state of being poor. The state of being poor. Okay. So that is what penury means. So the son never came to know about this pot of gold, and he lived in a very poor state, and ultimately he died. His son was Euclio. Okay. So eventually the son is left with a small piece of land. In this way, the household god becomes a character in his own right, as he begins to observe the granddad's son. Okay, now Lar familiaris is actually observing the son of the granddad. What kind of an observation? He is trying to see whether this particular son worships him. अगर वो वर्शिप करेगा तो उसको पॉट ऑफ गोल्ड के बारे में बताया जाएगा, যদি না ওয়ার্শিপ করে তাহলে তাকে পট অফ গোল্ডের সন্ধানটা দেয়া হবে না, ঠিক আছে, গুপ্তধনের সন্ধানটা ওকে দেয়া হবে না. Once again he does not receive the desired attention from the son, so he withholds information about the pot of gold. ठीक है, लार फैमिलियरिस को वो अटेंशन नहीं मिला, ना उस ग्रैंड डैड के बेटे से ना उसके बेटे के बेटे से, माने यूक्लियो से भी वो अटेंशन उसको नहीं मिला. एंड दिस इज द रीजन वाई लार फैमिलियरिस withholds information, माने pot of gold information टा ओदे दिच्छे ना. This decline in attention to the household god increases with the next generation. As I told you, Euclio is a far greater miser than his father and his grandfather. But the silver lining turns out to be Euclio's daughter. Euclio's daughter Phaedra, she respects the household god. In fact, she worships him with garland and incense, as I told you. So it is for her sake that the protector means lar familiaris, lets the father discover the gold to ensure a good marriage for the young girl, যাতে ডাউরিটা দিতে পারে, दहेज दे सके. इसीलिए लार फैमिलियरिस ने पॉट ऑफ गोल्ड का जो जगह है, कहाँ पर वो पॉट ऑफ गोल्ड है, उसके बारे में किसको बताया? यूक्लियो को बताया. Now, the prologue presents a history of this lineage where gold is passed on without the knowledge of the family. Mane, the gold passes from granddad to his son, and from his son to his son, and from this Euclio to Phaedra. In fact, only the grandfather knew about this pot of gold. His son never knew about it. Even Euclio never knew about it until Lar Familiaris himself decided to tell him about the whereabouts of the pot of gold. Okay, so Euclio's daughter Phaedra has been ravished or physically exploited by an upper class young man. As I was telling you a bit earlier, that Phaedra has been ravished or physically exploited by an upper class young man. And what was the name of that upper class young man? Upper class means definitely coming from a rich family. The name of that particular boy was Lyconidas. Okay, Lyconidas has actually ravished Phaedra, has actually raped Phaedra, and he comes from a rich family. So Lar Familiaris has a plan to set things right. Now Lar Familiaris knows that Phaedra के साथ क्या हुआ है, लेकिन Phaedra के पिताजी को नहीं पता है इसके बारे में. So Lar Familiaris, since he is the guardian spirit of this particular household, he has decided to set things right. उसका फर्ज बनता है, उसकी রেসপন্সিবিলিটি है, তার রেসপন্সিবিলিটি আছে যে পরিবারে যদি কিছু ভুল হয়ে থাকে সেটাকে কিভাবে আবার ঠিক করা যায়. He intends and he has actually planned certain things. What is the plan of Lar Familiaris? His plan is he intends to get the neighbor, and as I told you who the neighbor is, the neighbor is a rich man, rich old man that goes by the name of Megadorus. ठीक है, the name of the neighbor is Megadorus. So Lar intends to get the neighbor to ask for the girl's hand. So the plan is कि Lar Familiaris, since he is a god, he will put the idea of marriage into the mind of the rich neighbor Megadorus. वो भगवान है, वो मैनिपुलेट कर सकते हैं, ठीक है, वो कुछ भी कर सकते हैं, किसी के भी दिमाग में कोई भी आइडिया डाल सकते हैं. तो he has decided that he will put this idea of marriage into Megadorus's mind. এতে কি হবে? Megadorus will ask for Phaedra's hand, and as we know Phaedra is pregnant. ठीक है, तो इससे क्या होगा? परिवार का जो रेस्पेक्ट है, जो इज्जत है परिवार की, लड़की के परिवार की इज्जत जो है वो बच जाएगी. सो ही इंटेंड्स टू गेट द नेबर टू आस्क फॉर द गर्ल्स हैंड, as it is his nephew who has ravished the girl. And as I told you, Lyconidas is the nephew of Megadorus. ठीक है, Megadorus Lyconidas का मामा है. तो Lyconidas ने ही Phaedra को ravish किया है. Lyconidas रेप करेছে Phaedra की. So what happens is कि लार फेमिलियरिस has decided कि शादी का आइडिया मेगाडोरस के दिमाग में हम डाल देते हैं ताकि मेगाडोरस के घर में ही वो बेटी, वो जो लड़की है, वो उसके घर में चली जाए. इन दिस वे द हाउसहोल्ड गॉड इज द प्रोटैगनिस्ट who manipulates the events. Okay, so it is the household god Lar Familiaris who is manipulating each and everything. Now, there is this writer that goes by the name of Alison Sharrock. The name of the writer is Alison Sharrock. Okay, now I have used a quote from one of her books, and the quote is, I read the quote: a share in the divine perspective is offered to us also by Aulularia. Now, Aulularia is the other name of pot of gold. Pot of gold का और एक नाम जो है वो Aulularia है. Okay, so I go through the sentence once again. A share in the divine perspective. Now, which person in this particular story is a divine person? Definitely we are talking of Lar Familiaris. So in this particular story we find a divine perspective from Lar Familiaris. A divine perspective is offered to us also by Aulularia, introduced by the Lar Familiaris, who knows everything and has organized everything. So the plan has actually been made by Lar Familiaris. He is the one who is manipulating things. Okay, so it is introduced by Lar Familiaris, who knows everything and has organized everything. This character is a great teller of stories. Mane Lar Familiaris is a great teller of stories, especially those where he is the hero. Again, the level of storytelling is far greater than the requirements of the plot and serves both to entertain the audience and also to create the greater world of imagination. So if I ask you what is Lar Familiaris's function on the stage, why does Lar Familiaris come on stage? There are two functions to it. He serves as a means to entertain the audience. वो audience का entertainment करने आया है यहाँ पर. And also to create the greater world of imagination. He is revealing the plot of this particular drama. So the audience will actually now imagine कि इसके आगे ये होगा, ये होगा, ये होगा. उनको सब कुछ पता है, ठीक है? So it also creates a greater world of imagination. As I told you that this is a divine perspective. Divine in a sense, Lar Familiaris is a god. So a divine perspective is offered in the prologue to the pot of gold. Our pot of gold এর আরেকটা নাম হচ্ছে Aulularia. Okay. Now, starting with his main character himself, the Lar thus has the opportunity to display his own ideas and to use the ancient god's prerogative of aiding only those who honor him. माने एंशियंट गॉड्स प्रेरोगेटिव, ये एंशियंट इंडियन माइथोलॉजी में भी ऐसा है कि अगर आप इस देवता की पूजा नहीं करेंगे तो वो आप पे गुस्सा हो जाएगा. अगर इंद्र की पूजा नहीं करेंगे तो बारिश नहीं होगी. सिमिलरली एंशियंट जो गॉड्स थे ग्रीक माइथोलॉजी में भी, रोमन माइथोलॉजी में भी, दे विल ओनली हेल्प यू व्हेन यू ऑनर देम. ओके, सो लार फेमिलियरिस इज नो एक्सेप्शन. ही एक्सपेक्ट्स पीपल टू वर्शिप हिम, एंड until and unless you worship Lar Familiaris, definitely he will never reveal the whereabouts of this pot of gold. And that is what actually happens with the 3 generations of Eucleus family. Until Phaedra comes into the scene. It is only Phaedra who worships Lar Familiaris, and that is the reason why Lar reveals about the whereabouts of this pot of gold. Now, Sharrock is another writer. Sharrock, that particular writer that we were talking of earlier, Sharrock calls Lar Familiaris its trickster. Now, this hymn that I have used here refers to Lar Familiaris. So, Sharrock calls Lar Familiaris a trickster. Now, definitely, if I ask you what a trickster is, how would you define a trickster? What is the meaning of trickster? A trickster is one who employs tricks, tricks. ठीक है, लेकिन इसका एक डीप मीनिंग भी है. अगर आप ट्रिक्स्टर को माइथोलॉजी के एंगल से देखेंगे तो व्हाट इज अ ट्रिक्स्टर? हु इज अ ट्रिक्स्टर? In mythology, A trickster is actually a character in a story. This character can be a god or a goddess or a human which exhibits a great degree of intellect, जिसके पास बड़ा दिमाग होगा. A trickster is one of those characters in the play. वो भगवान हो सकता है, देवी हो सकती है, देवता हो सकता है, इंसान हो सकता है, जिसके पास बहुत ज़्यादा दिमाग है, a great degree of intellect, और जिसके पास कोई सीक्रेट नॉलेज है विच ही यूजेस टू प्ले ट्रिक्स विथ. ठीक है. तो व्हाट इज अ ट्रिक्स्टर, हु इज अ ट्रिक्स्टर in mythology? A trickster is a character. This particular character can be a god or a goddess or a spirit or a human being who exhibits a great degree of intellect, মানে প্রচন্ড মাথা আছে যার, আর যার কাছে কোনো সিক্রেট নলেজ আছে, who has certain secret knowledge about this particular family, and he uses that particular secret knowledge to play tricks. Mane he or she, whoever that may be. In this particular case, who is a trickster? Definitely Lar Familiaris is a trickster. Why? Because he definitely exhibits a great degree of intellect. He has some secret knowledge up his sleeves, and he also uses it to play certain tricks. And this is the reason we call Lar Familiaris a trickster, and this is the reason why this particular writer Sharrock calls Lar Familiaris a trickster. So through his machinations the resolution of the play is already laid out. तो अगर आप Pot of Gold पूरी कहानी नहीं भी पढ़ते हैं, if you just read the prologue of Pot of Gold, तो आपको वहाँ पे कन्फ्लिक्ट का भी पता चल रहा है. कन्फ्लिक्ट मतलब प्रॉब्लम क्या है यहाँ पर, क्योंकि कोई भी कहानी विदाउट कन्फ्लिक्ट तो लिखी नहीं जा सकती है. सपोज इफ आई राइट अ लव स्टोरी, सपोज A meets B, both of them fall in love with each other, their parents agree to their marriage, and ultimately they marry. This is one example. And the other example is, suppose A meets B. A comes from a poor family, B comes from a rich family. Their parents do not agree to this marriage. Ultimately, they decide to marry, and both of them are killed by society, a kind of honor killing. So in this particular second example, you have a conflict and you also have a resolution. But in the first story that I narrated, A falls in love with B, B also loves A, their parents agree to the marriage, and ultimately they marry. There is no conflict in this story. You can go through any of the love stories that you have read, you will find that there will always be a conflict in the story. Otherwise, that won't be a story at all. There has to be a conflict, and ultimately there has to be a resolution. So when we go through Pot of Gold, the prologue in Pot of Gold, we find that Lar Familiaris not only talks about the conflict, मतलब इस कहानी में प्रॉब्लम क्या है वो भी Lar Familiaris बता रहे हैं, प्लस उसका रेजोल्यूशन क्या निकलेगा, अल्टीमेटली क्या होने वाला है, ये भी हम लोगों को पहले से ही पता है. ठीक है. Okay, so through his machinations, the resolution of the play has already been laid out in the prologue. Now, when we go through the prologue, we come to know that the two themes that are in the play are, number one, the theme of avarice. Avarice means greed, the theme of greed. When Euclio comes to know about this pot of gold, definitely जब आदमी के पास पैसा नहीं होता है तब भी वो टेंशन में होता है, और जब पैसा होता है तब भी वो टेंशन में होता है. अब जब उसके पास इतना पैसा है तो अब वो लालची हो गया है. ठीक है. वो अभी भी फटे पुराने कपड़े ही पहनता है, মানে এখনো ট্যাটার্ড ক্লোথসে, মানে ছেঁড়া ফাটা ড্রেসেই এদিক ওদিক ঘুরে বেড়ায়, বিকজ হি ডাজ নট ওয়ান্ট সোসাইটি টু নো দ্যাট হি হ্যাজ গ্রোন রিচ. ঠিক है. মানে এত টাকা পেয়ে গেছে তার সত্ত্বেও, ইফ ইউ গো থ্রু দ্য প্লে ইউ উইল ফাইন্ড দ্যাট হি ড্রেসেস ইন ট্যাটার্ড ক্লোথস, ফিলদি, ডার্টি, ট্যাটার্ড, ছেঁড়া. আর হি রেগুলারলি গোজ টু দ্য মিউনিসিপ্যালিটি, বিকজ ওখানকার কাউন্সিল সপ্তাহে একদিন মানে গরিবদের, ভিখারিদের কিছু ডোনেশনস দেয়, কিছু টাকা দেয়. এত বড় হয়ে গেছে, মানে পট অফ গোল্ড ওর কাছে আছে, তার সত্ত্বেও ওখানে ভিক্ষে নিতে যায়, ডোনেশনস নিতে যায়। কেন? বিকজ of the fear that society might come to know that I have grown rich, and I don't want society to know that I have grown rich. So the theme of avarice, the theme of greed, this is the first theme of pot of gold. And the other theme that we will come across is the romantic theme. Definitely this romantic angle is between Phaedra and Lyconidas. Okay, now we will let me make it very clear to you people that we will never see Phaedra on stage. We will just hear Phaedra going through labor pains when she is giving a birth to a baby. We will just hear her voice. We will never see her physically on stage. Why? Because the virgin girls did not have the kind of freedom that was there for the married woman. The married woman can move around with her husband, but in the case of girls who were unmarried or who were supposed to be virgin, they were not allowed to move around so freely. They did not possess that kind of freedom at that point in time, and this is one of the points that we discussed last week. So the two themes are the theme of avarice and the romantic theme. Now, it is interesting to mark the pointed association of class with this misuse of women. Woman is being misused. Who is that particular woman who is being misused? Definitely Phaedra का दुर्व्यवहार हो रहा है. Phaedra is being misused. It appears that the exploitation of the women from the lower class by upper class men was a common phenomenon. Okay, now there are two exploitations. If you closely scrutinize this particular play called The Pot of Gold, you will understand that there are two examples of exploitations that we find in Pot of Gold. The first exploitation is definitely that Lyconidas comes from a rich family and he rapes this particular woman who is from a lower class. This is one of the exploitation. A woman is being exploited. The other example of exploitation that we find in Pot of Gold is Eucleo's exploitation of the slave woman that works in his household. When we move on to the next section after the prologue, we will come to see the kind of treatment that Euclio meets out to Styphelia. Okay, Styphelia. Who is Styphelia? Styphelia is the slave of Euclio. So that is also a kind of an exploitation. So there were multiple layers of exploitation at work in the society. Not only were the women exploited, but also the slaves were exploited. Now, there is a very famous article written by a particular lady called Gayatri Spivak. Gayatri Spivak Chakraborty. You can go through that particular essay written by her. The name of the essay written by her is Can the Subaltern Speak? The name of the essay is Can the Subaltern, SUB, Subaltern, ALTERN. Can the Subaltern speak? Speak question mark. Can the Subaltern speak? Now, to make it quite simple, you can go through this particular essay, but what do you mean by a subaltern? On a very basic level, this subaltern stands for the other in society. The other in society. We live in a patriarchal society. So who is the other in this patriarchal society? Definitely the servants. The women in society are the others. The Dalits, ठीक है, जो चमार हैं, जो डोम है, वो अदर हैं. हम लोग यही मानते हैं, हमारे समाज में यही प्रथा है कि दिस इज अ पैट्रियार्की डोमिनेटेड सोसाइटी. सो दीज आर द अदर्स. ये जो ट्रांसजेंडर्स हैं, ये समाज से बाहर रहते हैं. ये जो दलित हैं, ये समाज के बाहर हैं. ये जो हमारा कास्ट सिस्टम है, कास्ट सिस्टम में ब्राह्मण जो है वो सेंटर में है, और एकदम जो नीचे की तरफ है शूद्र, वैश्यस, ये लोग अदर हैं, ये सेंटर में नहीं है. तो जो सेंटर में होता है, पावर तो उसके हाथ में होता है. तो सिमिलरली यहाँ पर एक्सप्लॉयटेशन किसका हो रहा है? विमेन का हो रहा है, प्लस स्लेव्स का होता है. तो इन रोमन सोसाइटी ऑल्सो वी फाइंड दैट the people who fall under this category called the subaltern. ये subaltern में कौन कौन आ रहे हैं? Subaltern means the other. Women आ रहे हैं, स्लेव्स आ रहे हैं, लोअर क्लास पीपल आ रहे हैं, बिकॉज पावर रिसाइड्स इन द हैंड ऑफ अपर क्लास पीपल. Okay, so these are the people who are exploited. আর আমি এই যে subaltern কথা বলছি, subaltern means the other, or the other in society, the women in society, the transgenders in society, the Dalits in society. You will also find a reference to the subaltern in Mahabharat. If you remember, if you have gone through a particular episode in Udyog Parva in Mahabharat, Udyog Parva in Mahabharat, you will find that Krishna comes to meet Karna. Just before the Kurukshetra war battle, we find that Krishna has actually come to Karna with a request. What is that request? Krishna Karna से कहता है कि तुम्हारी माँ का नाम है कुंती और तुम पांडव के सबसे बड़े पुत्र हो, पांडु के सबसे बड़े पुत्र हो, तो you should not be fighting with Duryodhan and the Kauravas. You should rather shift sides. You should come over to the side of the Pandavas. एक बार तुम यहाँ आ जाओगे तो you shall become the king. युधिष्ठिर और उसके जो बाद बाकी भाई हैं वो तुम्हारे आसपास घूमेंगे. They will bow down before you because you are the eldest son, and you will also have Draupadi as your wife. Now remember, Karna says that he is bound by oath to Duryodhan. He loves Duryodhan. Why does Karna love Duryodhan and does not want to leave Duryodhan? You need to remember that Duryodhan, we consider a very basic idea of Duryodhan in society is that Duryodhan and Kauravas are considered to be evil personifications. They are personified as evil creatures, and Pandavas are someone जिनकी तरफ धर्म है. Pandavas stand for dharma and Kauravas stand for adharma. ये सही हो सकता है, बट वी नीड टू रिमेंबर कि दुर्योधन ने कुछ अच्छे काम भी किए हैं. दुर्योधन ने क्या किया है? यू नीड टू रिमेंबर दैट कर्ना वॉज अ सूता. Karna was born and brought up in a family. Obviously, his mother was Kunti. Kunti had given birth to Karna. लेकिन उसको बड़ा करने वाला कौन था? एक सूता जाति का परिवार. पिताजी का नाम था अधिरथ और माँ का नाम था राधा, जिन्होंने कर्ण को बड़ा किया है. ठीक है. एंड ही गॉट दिस सूत आइडेंटिटी. ठीक है. ही वॉज अ सूत पुत्र. सूत पुत्र मतलब कास्ट सिस्टम में एकदम नीचे की तरफ जो आते हैं. दैट मीन्स इन अ ब्राह्मणिकल सोसाइटी पावर, व्हेन द पावर वाज इन द हैंड्स ऑफ द ब्राह्मण्स, সেখানে আদারটাকে, হু ইজ দিস আদার? ডেফিনেটলি সুতা ইজ দ্য আদার. एंड व्हाट दुर्योधन इज अ क्षत्रिय. एंड व्हाट दुर्योधन डज इज, वो कर्ण को इतना पसंद करता है, इतना प्यार करता है, देयर इज सच अ डीप बॉन्डिंग बिटवीन दुर्योधन एंड कर्ण दैट ही रेजेज a Sutputra from being a Suta to being a king of a particular kingdom called Anga. अंगा बोल के एक जगह का राजा बनाता है कर्ण को. कौन बनाता है? दुर्योधन. दैट मीन्स व्हाट दुर्योधन इज एक्चुअली डूइंग इज ही इज अपलिफ्टिंग अ सूता to the position of a king. So in this sense, Duryodhan can be seen in a very positive light because he gives the kind of respect that Karna actually deserved. He uplifted him. He uplifted the other in society. He gave him equal status, and such was the kind of status given to Karna. If you remember, there is this particular episode in Mahabharat where Duryodhan's wife Bhanumati and Karna, they are playing a game of dice and together sitting and playing a game of dice. और दुर्योधन की जो बीवी है, दुर्योधनेर बो माने भानुमति, she is actually cheating in the game of dice. This is what we also do ना in the game of dice. लूडो खेलने बैठते हैं तो चीटिंग करते हैं, कब छक्का आएगा, कब क्या आएगा. तो वी टू चीट. तो कर्ण ने देख लिया कि भानुमति चीटिंग कर रही है, तो उसने भानुमति का हाथ पकड़ लिया. एंड द मिनिस्टर्स स्टैंडिंग अराउंड दैट पर्टिकुलर प्लेस, दे वर शॉक्ड बाय इट बिकॉज दे वर अफ्रेड ऑफ द फैक्ट कि अब दुर्योधन कर्ण को मारेगा क्योंकि उसने उसकी बीवी को हाथ लगाया. बट सरप्राइजिंगली दुर्योधन laughs at this because Duryodhan knows that this touch of Karna is actually an innocent touch. So see, a lower caste person touching his wife does not have any effect on Duryodhan. It goes to show that Duryodhan has really given the kind of status to Karna that Karna deserves. So he is a kind of a man who has uplifted Karna from his Suta identity to the king of a particular kingdom called Anga. The name of the kingdom was Anga, Anga, which is supposed to be, in all probability, it is Bengal, Bengol, definitely. Okay, so that is what subaltern means. So Karna is a subaltern. Similarly, woman in this society is a subaltern. Slave in this society is a subaltern. The lower class people are subalterns in this particular society. What was the name of the essay that I told you? The name of the essay written by Gayatri Spivak Chakraborty was "Can the Subaltern Speak?" Question mark. Mane, can the slave speak out? Does women have a voice in society? Does slave have a voice in society? Can the lower class people speak out? ठीक है, there is a question mark here. Can the subaltern speak? Question mark. Recently, you people must be knowing that there was this rape in a particular state of India. एक दलित लड़की के साथ मैंने शी हैड बिन ravished in a particular state of India and her tongue was also cut. उसकी जुबान काट दी गई थी তার জিভ কেটে ফেলা হয়েছিল দ্য কোশ্চেন ন্যাচুরালি অ্যারাইজেস যে ঠিক আছে তাকে র্যাভিশ করা হলো তাকে রেপ করা হলো তাকে মলেস্ট করা হলো কিন্তু তার টাংটাকে কেন কেটে ফেলা হলো ठीक है उसकी जुबान को क्यों काट दिया गया उस लड़की की जुबान को क्यों काट दिया गया इसलिए काट दिया गया कि वो लड़की है शी इज डेफिनेटली द अदर इन सोसाइटी but being the other in society, being the subaltern in society, she also has the right to speak. So cutting of the tongue implies कि subaltern के पास भी जुबान है और जो ऊपर हैं अपर क्लास लोग हैं वो नहीं चाहते हैं कि जो subaltern है वो बातें कहें वो अपने अधिकारों के लिए लड़ाई करें and this cutting of the tongue is very symbolic. Because the upper class people know that these lower class people also have a voice and they want to suppress the voice of the lower class people. So cutting of the tongue of that particular girl is symbolic of this particular phenomenon. The subaltern can speak. There is no question mark behind it. They can speak. Why do I say so? Even in Pot of Gold we will find that the subaltern is speaking. Eucleo's slave Styphelia will actually speak out. She has a mind of her own. That means the other in society, the subaltern, is also speaking out. The subaltern also has a voice of her or his own. Okay, so let us move with this particular slide that we have. It appears that the exploitation of the woman from the lower class by upper class men was a common phenomenon. Now the conflict and its resolution is presented right at the very beginning. As I told you कि conflict भी इसका prologue में दिया गया है उसका resolution भी last में happy ending होगा कि नहीं होगा इसके बारे में भी पता चल रहा है एकदम prologue पढ़ लोगे तो कहानी ही खत्म. Most players of the new comedy dealt with realistic situations. The ravished woman, the miser and the young lover were common figures in Roman comedy. Now I have taken a portion from prologue and I have presented it in my slide. This is the prologue that Lar Familiaris actually speaks out. Let us read the speech given by Lar Familiaris. Should any wonder who I am? माने do you know who I am? I will make it brief. मैं अभी तुम लोगों को बताता हूँ कि मैं कौन हूँ. আমি যে কে সেটা এখন তোমাদেরকে আমি জানাবো. I am a household guy, am I? Indicating Eucleo's house. Mane, he is pointing towards Eucleo's house and trying to say that I am the household god of that particular house. And here, from whence I came, मैं यहाँ से आया हूँ, इस घर से. The family I have now protected for a year. He left behind his son, the one who lives here now, and he is as bad as dad and granddad. Now, who is this he? He is Euclio. Meaning Euclio is as bad as dad and granddad were before. And yet his only daughter daily worships me. She always brings me offerings of wine and incense and garlands. And this is the point that I was referring to earlier, that Phaedra worships Lar Familiaris. It's for this young girl's sake I saw to it that Euclio unearthed the treasure. So the pot of gold that Euclio possesses, the information about this pot of gold was given to Euclio only because of Phaedra's sake. Lar Familiaris wanted Euclio to give this particular pot of gold, to use this particular pot of gold as dowry for his daughter, to help him marry off his daughter if he wished confidentially. An upper class man has ravished her. तुमरा की जानो माने, this is something that he tells the audience. माने Lar Familiaris is addressing the audience और उनको बोल रहा है, तुमको पता है एक बड़े घर के लड़के ने उसके साथ क्या किया है, उसने उसको ravish किया है. An upper class man has ravished her. The lad knows whom he has ravished, though she knows him not. Tarmana, the point is very clear. Lyconidas knows the girl, but the girl who has been raped, Mane Phaedra does not know that this particular boy was Lyconidas. Nor does her father know she is being ravished. Mane Euclio is unaware of the fact that his daughter has been ravished. So today I will see to it, the codger from next door will ask her, ask to marry her. Now what do you mean by a codger? Codger means an elderly man. कॉजर मीन्स एन एल्डरली मैन, एक उम्र दराज आदमी, एक्ट बॉयश को लोग. तब फ्रॉम द वेरी डिस्क्रिप्शन इट अपीयर्स, इट बिकम्स वेरी क्लियर दैट मेगाडोरस इज माने काइंड ऑफ क्वाइट ओल्ड इनफ टू मैरी समवन, but this man wants to marry a virgin girl. So what Megadorus will see it, Megadorus will implant an idea into Lar Familiaris will implant an idea into Megadorus's mind. शादी का idea उसके दिमाग में घुसाएगा. कौन घुसाएगा? Lar Familiaris. ठीक है, he is trying to manipulate the scene. So today I will see to it, the codger means an elderly man from next door, will ask to marry her. So now here's my plan to make it easier for him who ravished her to get to marry her. ठीक है, अब मेगाडोरस के परिवार के लड़के ने ही फेद्रा के साथ बलात्कार किया है या रेप किया है, तो अब लाइकोनिडस के लिए थोड़ा आसान हो जाएगा. इफ लाइकोनिडस कुड गैदर द स्ट्रेंथ और मास्टर द स्ट्रेंथ और अपने अंकल को या अपने मामा को जाके ये बोले कि आई एम द वन हु लव फेद्रा. ठीक है, सारा कुछ पूरा सिचुएशन तो लार फमिलियरस ने रेडी कर ही दिया है. Now it's up to Lyconidas कि does he possess the strength to stand in front of his mother as well as his uncle and reveal the truth. Let's see what happens. So now here's my plan to make it easier for him who ravished her to get to marry her, because as it turns, our neighbor is the uncle of the youth who wronged her at the midnight revels of the Ceres festival. अच्छा, रोम में एक फेस्टिवल होता है जिसका नाम है सेरेस फेस्टिवल. नाउ सेरेस इज अ रोमन गॉडेस. ठीक है, माने शी इज अ रोमन गॉडेस. और किस चीज की देवी है ये एक्चुअली ग्रेन गॉडेस है. ग्रेन, GRAIN, ग्रेन गॉडेस है सेरेस. और ये जो फेस्टिवल है ये 7 दिन तक चलता है रोम में. ये कब होता है? ये अप्रैल के मिडिल से लेके लास्ट तक, ऐसा कोई टाइम, कोई डेट फिक्स नहीं है, এমন কোনো ডেট ফিক্স নয়, বাট ওই মিড এপ্রিল টু লেট এপ্রিলের কাছাকাছি এটা হয়, 7 দিনের ফেস্টিভ্যাল. সো সেরেস ইজ এ রোমান গডেস অ্যান্ড শি ইজ দ্য গডেস অফ গ্রেন. শি ইজ এ গ্রেন গডেস. সো দ্যাট ইজ দ্য ফেস্টিভ্যাল that is held in Rome for 7 days. It continues for 7 days and the timeline is mid to late April. So this was the festival in which Lyconidas actually ravished Phaedra. Okay. So that was the speech of Lar Familiaris. So from the speech that we had just read, some of the points that are revealed, point number 1, Lar Familiaris' speech establishes a relationship with Euclio's ancestor. If you go through the prologue, you will find that we get a background story of Euclio's ancestors, his granddad, his father. As a guardian, Lar Familiaris has to ensure that things take a happy turn. Definitely, our guardians always try to make us happy. They always do things that make us happy. So it's the responsibility of this household godlar familiaris to make things happy. One must note that marriage remained central to the society of the times. शादी जो है, लड़की की शादी देनी है, ये जो मैरिज है, ये उस समाज में सबसे बड़ा प्रश्न था, सबसे बड़ा इम्पोर्टेंट प्रश्न था. और शादी भी तभी होगी जब लड़की के पास दहेज के लिए पैसा होगा. सो मनी, marriage as an institution was entwined with the idea of money. মানে ওই যে মানি ম্যারেজ থিমটা সেটা কিন্তু আছে আমাদের সমাজে, তো আজকেও আছে. আমরা তো আজকেও পণ দিই, আজকেও ডাউরি দিই বিয়েতে. মানে যারা আসে বাড়িতে এসে বলে कि ना ना मेटा के একটা শাড়িতেই দিয়ে দেবেন, वो तो हमारी बेटी है, एक साड़ी में भेज दीजिएगा. और जब आप सच में एक साड़ी में भेज देंगे तो आपको बाद में पता चलेगा कि असली रूप क्या है उस परिवार का. So this is the thing that we need to fight against, but I think we haven't yet completed our battle or a war against dowry. So this social institution marriage was entwined with the idea of money. Performances, especially the comedy, these comedies could challenge entrenched ideas and create space for a re-think in the society. Comedies help us to rethink what happens in society. हर चीज को सोचने के लिए मजबूर करता है कॉमेडी. কেন? बिकॉज আমরা नेक्स्ट सेक्शने গেলি সেটা ক্লিয়ার হয়ে যাবে. लेट अस मूव टू द नेक्स्ट सेक्शन. क्या लिखा है देखिए. नेक्स्ट स्टेज ऑफ स्टेज इंस्ट्रक्शंस, जैसे ही प्रोलॉग खत्म होता है उसके बाद एक स्टेज इंस्ट्रक्शन आता है. ये आपके टेक्स्ट में आपको मिलेगा. द डोर फ्लाइज ओपन एंड यूक्लियो द माइजर इमर्जेस एंग्रिली swinging a club at his ancient female servant. Ancient female servant here is Styphilia. He is filthy, means dirty, wearing tattered garments. फटे हुए कपड़े पहन के वो निकला है. He has the pot of gold, लेकिन वो गंदा ही रहता है ताकि समाज को पता ना चले, समाज যেন এটা জানতে না পারে জোর কাছে টাকা পয়সা চলে এসেছে. আর as the play opens we find Euclio coming out of the door. অনেক রেগে আছে প্রচন্ড, হাতে একটা লাঠি, আর স্টাইফিলিয়ার পেছনে পেছনে দৌড়চ্ছে. स्टाइफिलिया इज द सर्वेंट ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर हाउस. उसको स्टाइफिलिया को पीटना है आज, और इसीलिए हाथ में डंडा लेके आया, जिसको इंग्लिश में क्लब कहते हैं. द वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग एस्पेक्ट ऑफ दिस इज कि इंग्लिश में जब हम लोग क्लब बोलते हैं तो क्लब डंडा कहलाता है अगर आप ट्रांसलेट करते हैं हिंदी में तो. लेकिन भीम महाभारत में जो गदा लेके घूमता है उसका भी ट्रांसलेशन अगर आप इंग्लिश में पढ़ेंगे तो वो भी क्लब ही आता है. देयर इज नो ट्रांसलिटरेशन ऑफ द वर्ड कॉल्ड गदा. गदा का कोई ट्रांसलिटरेशन नहीं है, एग्जैक्ट वर्ड नहीं है. तो भीम के गदा को भी हम लोग क्लब ही बोलते हैं. ठीक है. तो यूक्लियो निकलता है रूम से, प्रचंड रेगे আছে, हाथे लाठी, स्टाइफिलियार पेছনে দৌড়চ্ছে. Now these lines revealed the society of the times and the psychological makeup of Euclio clear. We come to know a bit about Euclio from these particular lines. The first thing that we come to know about from these particular lines is that there were masters and slaves in Rome at that time. Euclio is the master and Styphilia is the slave. Even in the case of Megadorus, जितना बड़ा आदमी, যত বড় লোক তত বেশি slaves তার বাড়িতে. It was a status symbol. The masters had complete right over their slaves who were supposed to move puppet-like and execute orders. Definitely, as slaves, their only function was to act like puppet. जो मालिक बोलेंगे वही उनके लिए order है, वही उनको मानना है. In the world of Plotine drama, however, all this is subverted. Where the master has a right to swing a club at the female servant, she too has a mind of her own and resents his behavior. And this is the point that I was referring to. Who is the subaltern in the relationship between Euclio and the slave? Definitely it is the slave. Styphilia is the subaltern. So when Euclio is actually swinging a club, एक लाठी लेके जब दौड़ रहा है स्टाइफिलिया के पीछे, तो subaltern माने स्टाइफिलिया भी बोल रही है. She too has a mind of her own. The subaltern is voicing her ideas and attitudes. She too resents this behavior of her owner. So that is why I say that in comedies present us with sequences which allow us to rethink And what are we reconsidering? We are seeing for the first time, ये कॉमेडी में ही हो सकता है कि एक जो स्लेव है वो भी अपनी आवाज़ सबके सामने रख पा रही है, एक जो सबऑल्टर्न है वो भी, she too has a mind, তারও একটা আইডিয়া আছে, তারও একটা অ্যাটিটিউড আছে, she too has a mind of her own and she resents this behavior of her owner. She wonders as to what is going on with the master. Mane, she is kind of shocked by the behavior of Euclio. कि মানে হঠাৎ করে ইউক্লিওর এটা কি হলো, হঠাৎ অ্যাকচুয়ালি ইউক্লিও মাঝে মাঝে নিজের চাকরকে লাঠিপেটা করে, মানে তাড়িয়ে দেয় বাড়ি থেকে, আর তাড়িয়ে দরজাটা বন্ধ করে দেবে, বন্ধ করে আগে দেখবে পট অফ গোল্ডটা ঠিক জায়গায় আছে কিনা, মানে ही इज ऑलवेज इन अ काइंड ऑफ अ टेंस्ड सिचुएशन कि उसको लगता है कि उसका पॉट ऑफ गोल्ड चोरी हो जाएगा, तो ही विल डिग that particular hearth and he will look into the pot of gold कि pot of gold সব টাকা আছে কিনা, সোনা আছে কিনা, and when he is relieved at the sight of the pot of gold, फिर से pot of gold को अपनी जगह पे रख देगा, and then he will allow Styphelia to enter the house once again. So Styphelia wonders as to what is going on with the master, because Styphelia জানে না যে মাস্টার অ্যাকচুয়ালি ভেতরে করছে কি, বা মাস্টার এইভাবে কেন বিহেভ করে রোজ আমার সাথে, বিকজ ইউক্লিও রোজ সকালবেলা ওকে তাড়িয়ে দেয়, একবার করে চেক করবে, আবার তাকে ডেকে নেবে, আয় কাজ হয়ে গেছে ভেতরে আয়. This is the kind of thing that Euclio does, and so Styphelia is wondering. So it is indeed creditable that a class of people relegated to rock bottom are given a seminal role to perform in Plotine plays. Mani, in Plautus's play, we find people who are subalterns. They too are given a voice. So it is to the credit of Plautus. It is to the credit of Plautus that he gives this class of people voice. ठीक है, वो ऐसे लोगों को आवाज़ दे रहा है जिनको और किसी प्ले में अपनी आवाज़ रखने की का कोई जगह उनको नहीं मिलती थी. तो दिस इज़ टू द क्रेडिट ऑफ प्लॉटस. दिस इज़ समथिंग दैट प्लॉटस डज. In voicing the condition of the slaves and the treatment meted out to them, the audience is shown the way in which slaves were treated. Definitely, from the very play we come to know the kind of treatment that was meted out to the slaves. I think the point is quite clear. Plautus uses the structure of comedy to present this reality, and only in comedy is this possible. You can present this reality. The audience will laugh, but they will also understand the kind of situation or the society they live in. This is what reality is, while also tickling the audience with the possibility of the slaves putting forward their case. The slaves are also putting forward their case in Plautus's pot of gold. So this is to the credit of Plautus. So this is what the prologue was all about. So what we will do is, for our next day, our assignment will be, you need to write down the significance of the prologue in the pot of gold. The significance. So your assignment for next week, which you definitely need to submit by next Wednesday, your assignment will be the significance of the prologue in the pot of gold. Okay, this will be your assignment for next week. So with this, we end today's class. If you have any problem regarding this particular class, you can WhatsApp me. You have my number. You can WhatsApp me. You can satisfy your queries with it. The more the merrier. You can kind of come forward. If you have any problem regarding it, आप लोग WhatsApp पे message कर सकते हैं, कोई problem नहीं है. Until and unless you ask questions, you won't be able to learn. So you need to learn things around. So you need to ask questions. Okay. So with this, we end this class, and we will be meeting again next Thursday. Thank you. Have a good evening.